Hey everyone, it's Mark. This is my recap for Pokémon Horizons episode 35, Friede and Cap, the duo in the wilderness. This was the 1267th episode of the Pokemon anime, and I'm sorry for this review being actually late this time. I've been so busy with work lately that I'm having to play catch up on this review. So let's get through this one as quickly as we can, and then I promise you that my episode 36 review is going to be one of, if not my greatest episode reviews ever. So Liko's brief recap is very broad in general this time, and we start the episode aboard the Brave Olivine, where Friede tells the rest of the crew that they're out of money. This shocks Liko and Roy, but the others are like, yeah, it makes sense that we finally run out of funds. As all of the Pokemon share a cute moment together, Friede asks everyone to start finding ways to earn some money. Roy is like, wait, isn't adventuring our job? But since that doesn't pay the bills, we've got Murdoch offering to deliver sweets, Orla doing some freelance repairs, and Molly asks Dot to make her a promotional video so Molly can do some medical consultations. Dot doesn't love this idea, but since she already makes some money being a content creator, this work will help everyone else. Liko and Roy chime in that they're willing to do anything to pitch in, but Friede is like, alright, you kids just worry about school instead. We cut to Liko having a conversation with Anne before their class, and Liko's classmate is shocked to see Hatena. Anne takes the words right out of my mouth by calling Hatena really cute, but then their conversation is interrupted as it's time for class to start. Thankfully, we skip right to the end of class when Liko's instructor gives them this assignment about the ideal bond between trainer and Pokemon. They each have to find a pair that they think represents the ideal bond, write a report about them, and then they'll present them one at a time during the next class. As Liko thinks about who she's going to choose to write her report on, Friede announces that they got hired for a job. Specifically, a friend of Friede has asked them to help find a lost Pokemon, and just as Friede and Cap accept this offer, Liko realizes that she thinks Friede and Cap have the ideal bond. Roy and Liko offer to go with Friede, and just like that, our trio is off to a saloon straight out of the Wild West, and Friede warns them about the people around these parts, and I reckon there's a fair few shaded characters hanging around here, but thankfully Friede's friend recognizes him right away and introduces himself as Shine. He shows them a picture of his Bramblin, saying that he lost it when it got blown away by a strong wind yesterday. Shine adds that there's a group of Pokemon hunters in the area, but Friede and Cap aren't concerned, which reaffirms Liko's idea that they really are the ideal pair. So our heroes head outside and find Bramblin, like, instantly. Wow, that was easy, but a gust of wind immediately blows it away. So the chase is on, but every time they get close to catching it, another gust of wind just carries it away. They regroup and try to decide where to look next, but Cap and Friede don't agree on where to go. They start fighting, and Liko's ideal pair aren't looking so idyllic right now. Anyways, this whole squabble was completely irrelevant because Bramblin is actually on a tree branch right above them, but it gets blown away by the wind once again. Their chase leads them into some desert, and they see a cavalcade of tumbleweeds blowing in the wind. Roy hears Bramblin inside this mess, so they all start searching for a Pokemon amongst all the tumbleweeds, but Bramblin rolls past all of them and eventually finds its way into some canyon all alone. Well, not quite alone, since it gets caught in a net, and it looks like those Pokemon hunters that Shine warned our heroes about. Their leader is this person who looks like a Furasode girl that spends her free time enjoying some illegal substances at music festivals, and all she cares about is finding cute Pokemon. Shine's Bramblin gets brought in next, but this mean girl doesn't find it cute. How dare she? The hunters just tossed into the cage with the others, and we cut to our heroes asking around some town if anyone's seen a Bramblin. These two random women walk by and notice Cap, who is less than amused. The two randos start calling him cute, and this causes Cap to begin uncontrollably sneezing. Liko asks if something is wrong with Cap, and Friede explains that Cap has this really weird allergy to being called cute. Okay then. Our heroes regroup and start wandering around looking for Bramblin. Friede teases Cap about his allergy, and the two start fighting again, which causes Liko to question if these two really do share an ideal bond. Shortly after this, they find a group of people near an oasis. It's the hunters we saw earlier, and they mention how they picked up a Bramblin. Our heroes instantly apprehend these bad guys, and next they're headed for their leader. 1 second later, they show up in the canyon where the hunters were hiding out, and they don't take too kindly to our heroes' intrusion. The hunters send out this tumultuous trio of Omastar, Toxtricity, and Mudsdale, but the battle is about as one-sided as you would expect, with Cap dominating the action. However, our delinquent friend who loves cute Pokemon has now gotten a closer look at Cap, and oh boy, she says he's really cute. Yeah, this is bad, and Cap's allergy activates almost on command. I'm not sure how Cap is able to overcome a Mudsdale like this, but somehow he is able to dodge while having an allergic reaction, which is really impressive. Liko and Roy have had enough of being bystanders, so they jump into the action before quickly being overwhelmed by Mudsdale's bulldoze, who keeps our heroes far away from the cage with all the Pokemon. Speaking of which, Bramblin is fighting back inside the cage using Power Whip to try and break free. This just angers the Bucket Hat Hunter lady, who sends her Avalugg out to use Blizzard on the Pokemon inside the cage before threatening to damage them further if our heroes keep trying to fight. This situation is looking pretty dire, but Friede notices Bramblin showing signs of evolution inside that cage, and Cap shoots his trainer a knowing glance. Friede then announces that they're going to rush in and attack again, but Cap disagrees and starts another fight with Friede, eventually just running away on his own, appearing to disobey orders. Friede just straight up sits down and pouts like a little kid at this point, telling Liko and Roy to handle this on their own. Although it is obvious to anyone with a brain that Friede is playing this up, he's not actually being serious, although I guess Liko doesn't have a brain because she can't believe what's going on. Anyways, this leads to the funniest moment of the episode for me when Roy is like, alright Liko, let's do this, and Liko nods and says she'll have to revise her report, and Roy's just like, what are you talking about? The battle restarts with a stalemate between Liko and Roy and the two goons, but when Mudsdale uses Bulldoze again, things aren't looking so good. Thankfully, Friede and Cap's plan is ready for action, and Cap jumps off the top of the ridge while charging up a Thunder Punch, which OHKOs Avalugg, who never saw it coming. Cap still has some work to do though, but Friede has another trick up his sleeve, calling for Shine's Bramblin to use Rapid Spin, and this extra burst of energy is enough to tip Bramblin over the edge, and we see it evolve into Bramblegast. As all of the Pokemon escape the cage, our hero's work isn't done yet, and Cap starts thunder punching his opponents into the sky, and even though Mudsdale is immune to electric type attacks, it's not immune to Cap punching the other two Pokemon into Mudsdale, sending all three of them flying perfectly into the hunter's cage. Friede and Cap celebrate their victory, and this makes Liko regain her faith in Friede and Cap as the ideal bond between trainer and Pokemon, as we transition straight into her report on the two, as we get kind of like an epilogue on this episode as we see scenes of what happened after the Rising Voltaggler's victory. Seeing their payment come through like some kind of a reward screen on a mobile game made me laugh, and Liko wraps things up by saying that she hopes to be a trainer like Friede one day, and that's how this episode comes to an end. Well, in an effort to speed things up, let's get straight to my rating. I'm giving this episode a 6 out of 10 rating. This episode was fine. It was pretty much filler, but still had some important storytelling moments that I wanted to highlight. First of all, ever since they introduced the Rising Voltagglers as having been hired by Liko's mother, I was waiting for another instance in which they take a job in order to earn some money. Aside from the occasional Team Rocket subplot of them having to earn some money by doing odd jobs, we never really focus on money in the Pokemon anime, but episodes like this add something to the overall story, at least in my opinion. These aren't just adventurers who can do whatever they want whenever they want. These characters are real people who interact with the world around them, and I like that grounding and establishing of the dynamics of the Pokemon world in Pokémon Horizons. Additionally, this episode taught us something new about Captain Pikachu. He's allergic to being called cute. Will this ever play a role in any future episodes? Well, probably, at least I hope it does, and we'll always have to remember this episode for introducing it. Other than that though, I mean, the story of Liko's report was whatever, and the villains were just barely a step above generic, and the battle action was fine, although I did kind of like the way it looked. So this episode was pretty unremarkable to say the least. It's one of those where I just think to myself, did I like this episode? Yeah, I did. So let's give it a 6 and just move on. So following my own advice there and moving on, the next episode looks rather uneventful as well. Honestly, I'm not sure why I'm even bothering with the preview this time around since this episode has already been released, but it does look like a fun episode with lots of Quaxley action, so I think it's about time I wrap this one up and go watch the next episode. And like I said earlier, my next episode review may be the greatest episode review I have ever done. Make sure you like and subscribe because, well, my Rising Voltagglers wrap is finally coming, and that's not all. Don't miss my next review, it's going to be special. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.